Start from now. You know what? No, stop. So I got this boom mic, and it's not quite what I meant when I said I wanted a boom mic, but let's see how it works. Let's start out by creating a nice simple S3 bucket, and for that we are going to, no, I don't want to do that right now. Go ahead and make directory S3 basic, no, bucket 01. Okay. So we got our directories created, and we're gonna cheat a little bit. Copy the VPC backend.tf to here, and then we're gonna touch main.tf. There. It's not a touch, it's a new item type file. Minus item type file main.tf. So we have our file structure. We do an ls on AWS just to show we have one bucket here, and we want to create a new bucket. So our back end, we're going to rename this to S3 bucket 01, and everything else looks good. This has been updated for Terraform 14.3. Oops, 2 R's in Terraform. Just to show that we're on 14.3. And I'm missing something in here, and I need to add that, and that is required providers. And I want AWS, and I want version, and I want it to be 3.1.0, and I want the source to be HashiCorp AWS. So I have the required version, but the latest one to date is 3.2.2. Oops. So let's go ahead and do that. So have that. Then here's my notes. Okay. So there are some changes to the layout here. If you're on Terraform 13, this is for 14, so be aware there are some pretty big differences. Alright. Now we want to go to our main, and we want to start writing code. First we want the resource to be AWS S3 bucket my happy bucket. I guess it's just red. Okay. And we're going to keep it simple. We're going to do bucket equal, you know what, we're going to give it a name, or variable as a name. So var project name. Oops. Bucket 01. Very important thing with the bucket names. They can only have dashes and lowercase letters and numbers. No special characters, no underscores, no ampersands or dollar signs or question marks. And they also have to be unique. You can't have a bucket name the same thing that I name a bucket. So whatever your bucket is called has to be unique for your environment. And that's a very important thing, and it drives some people when they're getting started crazy, but that's how it has to be. A access control list, so ACL, we want it to be private. Okay, so let's set up our variables. Variable project name. And we just want the description there because we want to put everything in our dev. So project name equal. I'm going to call it Hi-Fi Ghetto Sample Bucket. Sample S3. There we go. TF vars. That's why. Yeah, names matter. Okay, fix that one. Right now I could create a nice simple bucket. Yeah, there'll be some time skips. And it would give me the basics. But I want to do some other things here under the main. And that's just for basic housekeeping. First thing I want to do is I want to enable... Why can't I spell versioning tonight? Versioning. And that's enabled equal true. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to set a server-side encryption so that all objects by default have this encryption level. I'm going to use the basic AES 256 encryption for objects in this bucket. You can choose whatever your security policies dictate. If you need to use custom managed KMS keys, then you can. If you need to use regular old Amazon managed keys, you can. But it's up to you what encryption you want to run. I'm going to do just the basic encryption. Let's go ahead and format it. Okay, and because I'm paranoid and I just added a pretty big chunk of letters, let's go ahead and validate it. Now that we have the server-side encryption, another thing that we'd like to do is some lifecycle rule. And this allows you to migrate your storage, the backend storage. It'll migrate the data down tiers. So when you first write it, it'll write it to the highest tier. And then we'll set it so that after 30 days, it'll move it to a standard tier. It won't be as quick, but you shouldn't need it that much. Then after 60 days, it'll write it to Glacier. Then 90 days, it'll delete it. So the data will progress down. This is useful for things like log files that you won't need. If you have something like New Relic or Logly that picks up your log files, you can dump them to a bucket under a certain path and then have them, after they're picked up, have them stored for a little while and then deleted. So let's go ahead and set a lifecycle rule, shall we? As a recap, we have the lifecycle rule with an ID of expire, because that's what it's going to do. Enabled equals true, so it'll enable it. Then we have it transition after 30 days to standard IA storage, which is infrequent access. Then another transition after 60 days to Glacier, which is even slower storage, but it's cheaper. Then after 90 days, we want it to expire. And then there's one more thing we want to add here. And that's just our standard tags. For our buckets, we currently have one bucket, but let's go ahead and open up our AWS console. And we want to go to S3. Thank you. I like the old console better. We only have the one bucket right now, so let's go ahead and run our plan. Oops. And as you can see, it'll make plan to add one item, which is the S3 bucket. Now let's go ahead and run it. Apply. Now if we do AWS S3 LS, we have two buckets. And to verify, for those who want the console to believe, we have two buckets. Properties, permissions, block public access, metrics management. There it is. Lifecycle rules. View lifecycle configuration. So we have our lifecycle rule, and that's under management, and you can also do other configurations there. You can set it for replication. All of that can be found under this link for the reference doc. I'll go ahead and include it in the description. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching. Be sure to check the links in the description below.